My name is Alan Pallet, and this is the Sunday morning service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Potsdam. I am a member of the congregation and will be leading part of the service today. We are a congregation that welcomes all. Black, white, gay, straight, atheist, theist, liberal, conservative, and more. All are welcome here. Unitarian Universalism is built on 7 ethical principles. They are written on the back of the order of service. In addition to these principles, our UU culture promotes the notion that wisdom can be found from many sources, with a special place, at least for me, held by reason and science, but can also be found in the arts and the humanities, and in the religions of the world. We believe we have much to learn from the great thinkers of the past, but in building the future, we are not permanently tied to any past theology or ideology. With those values in mind, we consider a wide array of topics at our Sunday morning services. This morning, our service is about the power of awe. I like this topic. I like it because there are few experiences more enjoyable to me than those that generate a feeling of awe. My experiences of awe almost always involve an engagement with nature, either directly or indirectly through science. And the word spiritual seems to be a good descriptor of these experiences. So for me, it's nature. But it is interesting that feelings of awe appear to be related to people's sense of spirituality across a wide range of religious beliefs and secular traditions. So I'm looking forward to this morning's exploration of this interesting topic, a topic that I think fits well in with our Unitarian tradition. Do we have any announcements? No announcements today. Oh, okay.
My name is Miranda, and I have an announcement for people who are planning to attend the 101 session today. That will be held in the sanctuary rather than in the board, just so you know. So after the service, go ahead to coffee and conversation or coffee hour and grab some snacks and some tea or coffee and join us back here in the sanctuary. See you then.
Hi, I'm Kay. I just want to say save the date. For March 11th, we're having our annual potluck. So I hope everyone can make it, probably like 5:30. I think there's something in the newsletter, but I thought I would just mention it today.
Hi, I'm Linda, and this has to do with cleaning up the inside of our sanctuary. We have an immediate need to clean up the teen room. We have a renter who is very interested in that. However, the issue that we have with when we clean up, and I thank all of the volunteers who come in and say, oh, I'm going to straighten this up, is all we do is sort of shift messes to another room that needs to be cleaned up. So this is going to be kind of an ongoing process for us to actually look at the storage space we have, go through each closet, each room, and go, what are we keeping, what are we donating, what needs to be basically trashed. And like I said, it's going to be a process. It's not a one-day thing. If anybody would like to be involved in that and maybe has some time during the week that can donate, please let me know. And like I said, we're going to be starting with the teen room, but this is going to be an ongoing, because we just need to find permanent homes for things and say, oh, that's where that goes. Okay, oh, that's where that goes. So anyway, thank you.
Okay, now we come to chalice lighting. I'm going to use the words of Scott Taylor to accompany the chalice lighting. These words were, this passage was picked out by our guest minister, Kim Wilson, and adapted for this purpose by her. Look to the sky, to the stars that dance with this tiny globe on which we travel. Look to the horizon, the tree line, the expanse of wide open fields, to this living, breathing earth that makes our living and breathing possible. Look at the faces that surround you and notice what a wonder it is. We don't have to walk this world alone. All of it is a miracle. May this light we now kindle and this time we spend together illuminate the awesomeness of it all. Most of you know our guest minister, Reverend Kim Wilson, because we've had the good fortune of having her as a guest minister many times in the past. For those of you who may not have seen her in the past and don't know her, I will say just a few words about her background. Reverend Kim graduated with a Master of Divinity degree from Moravian Theological Seminary in 2000 and was ordained in 2001. I bolded the word seminary because the last time my brain got disconnected from my mouth and I said cemetery.
It has happened before.
So seminary.
Theological school.
I'm gonna change it to that. He has served 3 fellowships as a minister. She is currently a half-time minister at the UUs of Central Delaware in Dover. In addition to serving congregations, she has served Unitarian Universalism at the regional and national level. For example, from 2019 to 2021, Reverend Kim chaired the National UU Ministers Association Guidelines Ethics Committee. And as I said before, that was an important role. She has served the local Priestley Kingsbury chapter of the UU Ministers Association as secretary and president. Kim, it is a pleasure to invite you back to the pulpit to continue the service today.
Thanks, Alan. It's great to be back. It's good to see all of you here this morning. Hey, Alan. You got my stuff.
Oh.
Our opening words this morning comes to us from Amanda, Ludus, Kessler, and they've been adapted. A planet is born, a spark ignites, something completely new comes into being. Gathered here, we give thanks for the mystery and miracle of life. A waterfall descends, a rainbow arcs through the sky, the ocean opens to an endless horizon. Gathered here, we give thanks for the mystery and miracle of beauty. The stars pierce our hearts, peace envelops us. We are blessed. Gathered here, we give thanks for the mystery and miracle of wonder. In the midst of pain, we find our way to hope and restoration. Gathered here, we give thanks for the mystery and miracle of healing. In the midst of fear, we do what is right and speak our truth in faith. Gathered here, we give thanks for the mystery and miracle of courage. In our aloneness, we seek someone in greater need and offer ourselves to them. Gathered here, we give thanks for the mystery and miracle of compassion. We gather in community, in friendship, in relationship, and cherish each other. Gathered here, we give thanks for the mystery and miracle of love. Come, let us worship together. And now I invite you to join in singing open hymn number 57 in your great hymnals, All Beautiful, the March of Days. And now I'd like to invite Kim Culp to come forward and share a children's story. We have a I'm gonna get the other microphone. I know. There you are.
Can you hear me? This is a beautiful book called I Wonder. Eva loves to look for the moon. It follows her from place to place, disappearing behind trees and mountains, and then appearing again someplace new. Look, Mama, there it is. The moon looks so beautiful in the sky. How do you think it follows us, Eva? Eva thinks about it. She just can't put her figure it out. It's okay to say, I don't know, says her mother. When we don't know something, we get to wonder about it. I wonder if the moon and the earth are friends, said Eva. Her mother smiles. I like that. But Mama, how does the moon really stay close to us?
Well, there's an invisible force called gravity that pulls all the things in the universe together, Eva's mother explains. Gravity keeps the moon close to the earth. It keeps the planets close to the sun, too. They circle around each other like this. Eva understands a little better, but then she starts to wonder, Mama, where does gravity come from? I don't know, Eva. Nobody really knows for sure. And when no one knows the answer to something, it's called a mystery. A mystery is something for everyone to wonder about together. How fun! Eva imagines herself wondering about gravity together with all the people in the world. Eva watches the moon disappear behind the clouds as she walks, excited to see where it will appear next. How many grains of sand are in the whole world, Mama? I wonder about that too. There are trillions and trillions of grains of sand, but nobody knows exactly how many. Eva tries to think about all the sand in the whole world. That feels so big, I can't fit it all in my imagination. It makes me feel dizzy, like I'm falling. I know what you mean, her mother agrees. And I'm sure other people feel that way too. Eva walks down another path, looking for the moon, and a little orange butterfly appears. Then she notices there are butterflies everywhere. Mama, where did all these butterflies come from? These butterflies have been flying around for a few days, but they started out as little caterpillars, and those caterpillars came from eggs, and those eggs came from other butterflies. There are cycles all around us, with one thing ending and another beginning. Things are always changing. Can you think of other things that change? Clouds and frogs and me. Later, Eva wonders, Mama, what was here before all the butterflies and frogs and clouds, before everything? I don't know, answers her mother. It's another mystery. I like trying to imagine what was here before the beginning of everything. What do you think was here? And Eva says, smiling, I don't know. She thinks about it for a long time, and then she has an idea. I wonder if there were feelings. As she walks home, Eva sees the moon again, glowing brightly above the roof of her house. Let's go inside and look at the moon through the window. We live with some big mysteries. When we come upon one, we're given a little gift. Every mystery is something for all of us to wonder about together. What do you wonder about? Hope we all have fun wondering about things today.
Great story, thank you.
Okay, let's sing the children out.
Really like that story. We're going to enter into a time of meditation now. And we'll begin by remaining in our seats, singing Spirit of Life, and that will be followed by a silent meditation and then spoken meditation. It's hymn number 123. Let's spend about a minute in quiet reflection. This is a excuse me, this is a meditation that was written by Joy Harjo, an author and poet, a member of the Muscogee Nation. Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon. Know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point in time. Remember sundown and giving away to night. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's and hers. Remember your father. He is your life also. Remember the earth whose skin you are. Red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them. Listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind. Remember her voice. She knows the origin of this universe. Remember, you are all people, and all people are you. Remember, you are the universe, and this universe is you. Remember, all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember, language comes from this. Remember the dance language that life is. Remember. Maybe so. I have offertory next. Yeah, it was skipped in the first. Do you have any bars or not? Okay.
Oh. So he's going to do focus. Thank you, Carly. They say that money doesn't grow on trees. But where you use, and we don't believe everything they say. So I checked. And it appears that in this case, they are right. No money on any of our many trees we have out here. So for now, we will pass the basket. And we can hope for a better outcome in the spring. I thank everyone who made a contribution.
This reading is called the reading is called Awe and Wonder. The author is unknown. I've adapted it slightly. I stand. Stay still. Keep silent. Mouth opening and closing, speechless at this brilliant moment, sky tearing apart in my heart. An art of wordlessness opens up before me. The open world lies ahead. I stand, stay still, keep silent. Sun, brighter than bright, bigger than big, lighting the peaks of the mountains that loom above the road I follow. Heart, open to the vastness of it all. I am becoming infinite. I'm becoming bigger than myself, bigger than the sun that I reach for. This feeling, this victorious cry in the void, this freedom bubbling up within is a feeling I cannot live without. Without it, I am not truly living, but only breathing. I reach and reach and reach towards the heavens, towards the brilliant light. Even in darkness, I see it shining. Even in storms, I see it flashing violently across the sky. Even in the night, I see it faintly reflecting from the surface of a cratered rock, floating millions of miles away. Even when hidden under blankets and locked away in a pitch black cupboard, I see it flicker at the edge of my vision. It is constant. It is everywhere. I stand, stay still, keep silent. Awe and wonder are my middle names. And let's join in singing our next hymn. It's number 55. And it's called Dark of Winter. I really love that hymn. You know, sometimes we complain about how cold it is and cloudy, especially here. But it reminds us of the beauty of winter. I recently heard a talk given by a veteran named Stacy Bear. When he was serving in Iraq, he was assigned to clearing landmines. Now just think about that for a minute, you know, it's hard to imagine a more stressful assignment. He said he also spent a lot of time doing things like kicking down doors and blowing things up. During his tour, he suffered head injuries from explosions and witnessed truly horrible things. When Stacy returned to the US, he found himself re-experiencing the awful events, and he had other symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Nightmares, sleeplessness, feeling on edge, seeing everything through a negative lens. He went on to grad school, but he became heavily addicted to drinking and drugs, just trying to escape from his own head. He was depressed, and he often thought of suicide. He knew he needed help, but he didn't know what to do. One day, he called a friend and just asked him what he thought he should do. His friend was blunt. Look, man, he said, I'm tired of hearing about how depressed you are, so just go kill yourself, rejoin the army, or do something about it. Now, this is not the recommended way to talk to a depressed person, but somehow, I guess he knew his friend. It was the shot in the arm that Stacy needed. So for some reason, Stacy thought, go climb some rocks. He started rock climbing, and that became his do something about it. One day, not long after that, he and his brother were hiking in Utah's Canyonlands National Park, and they started arguing about some trivial thing as they were climbing up this rocky portion of the trail. And just as they neared the top and came over this crest, they looked up, and there it was, this huge 150-foot high Druid arch. Their jaws dropped open. They completely forgot their disagreement. They just looked at each other and they started laughing and hugging. And in that moment came a deep knowing. In that moment, a turning point in Stacy's life happened. He felt that the inner torment that had never left him alone for a moment since he had left Iraq was somehow ebbing away. In that moment, the power of awe to change his perspective had made itself known to him, and he knew he was on his way to healing. In Western cultures, awe has been associated with transformative religious experiences. In the Christian tradition, some might think of the awe that Paul experienced on the road to Damascus with the appearance of Jesus. In Jewish tradition, what might come to mind are the days of awe. Here, the word awe means immense or weighty, the awesome burden to atone and to face God's judgment. For practitioners of earth-centered traditions, which includes all indigenous peoples, experiencing awe in the natural world has always been an integral part of the spiritual experience, and spirituality is an integral part of life. A deeply held attitude of reverence and awe for every aspect of the earth, both living and non-living, is woven into one's very consciousness. Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of the 19th century Unitarian transcendentalists, was among the first of our religious ancestors to recognize the power of awe that nature could elicit and to connect it with religious experience. In his essay, Nature, Emerson writes, "In the woods, we return to reason and faith. There, I feel that nothing can befall me in life, no disgrace, no calamity, which nature cannot repair. Standing on the bare ground, my head bathed by the blithe air and uplifted into infinite space, all mean egotism vanishes. I become a transparent eyeball. I am nothing. I see all. The currents of the universal being circulate through me. I am part and parcel of God." The American naturalist John Muir understood well the power of nature to inspire awe. In a journal entry marked June 6, 1871, he writes, "We are now in the mountains, and they are in us, kindling enthusiasm, making every nerve quiver, filling every pore and cell of us. Our flesh and blood tabernacle seems transparent as glass to the beauty about us, as if truly an inseparable part of it, thrilling with the air, trees, streams, and rocks, and the waves of the sun, a part of all nature, immortal. How glorious a conversion, so complete and wholesome it is. The thing that awesome experiences seem to have in common is they point to something beyond our limited selves. Often awe is inspired by a sense of vastness, physical vastness. For example, when we're standing on the ocean's shore or staring up at a starry sky, the vastness of knowledge and its limitations, or temporal vastness, perhaps looking upon the rock formations in the Southwest and just contemplating the millions of years in evidence before us. Experiences of awe transcend our understanding of the world around us and perhaps even our capacity to understand. There are big awes and then there are little awes. People feel awe in response to more ordinary things. Catching a firefly, watching its light blink on and off, witnessing a stranger giving their lunch to a homeless person, or gazing into the eyes of a newborn baby. Awe has the power to change the way we view ourselves and the people in our midst, and it can affect our attitudes and perspectives. One researcher found that regular small bursts of awe lead to a greater sense of humility. Awe seems to take us Westerners out of our preoccupation with ourselves and our own needs, and to give rise to the sense of being a small part of a larger whole. Our egos reinforce the illusion that we are separate from everything else. Awe allows us to transcend that illusion and to remind us of the larger things that we're connected to and a part of. Early psychologist William James described awe as an immense elation and freedom that allows the outlines of confining selfhood to melt down. It momentarily dissolves the self and allows the world in its freshness and novelty to seep in. And when our egos are not so defended, it has a positive effect on how we see those around us. Berkeley social scientist Paul Piff, by the way, I just saw he has a new book out on awe. So this social psychologist, Paul Piff, found that experiences of awe increase feelings and acts of generosity. In a study, most likely with university students as participants, those who experienced awe cooperated more, shared more resources, and sacrificed more for others, all of which are necessary attributes for healthy communities. The psychologist Abraham Maslow spent time with a Blackfoot community in Canada. As with indigenous groups throughout North America, awe and reverence for nature are woven into the community consciousness. There's this constant appreciation for the gifts of nature. Giving and sharing, rather than accumulating and protecting wealth, is another foundational value of most indigenous communities, very different from our society. Maslow found in the Blackfoot community too that wealth was not important, but rather that giving it away was what brought privilege and security. In these studies of two very different cultures, one mostly white and middle to upper class, and another indigenous, awe and generosity seem to go hand in hand. Although we need to be careful not to universalize experiences based on studies of small groups of people, in this case, I do think those connections between generosity and awe make sense, and they're probably true for most humans. Especially in our hyper-individualistic American culture, experiences of awe contribute to altruism because they alter Western people's sense of themselves, replacing it with one that is smaller and humbler and part of something larger. Even brief experiences of awe, such as being among beautiful tall trees, sometimes called forest bathing. These brief experiences can lead people in our dominant society to feel less self-centered and entitled and more attuned to our common humanity. These experiences help us balance our gratification of self-interest with a greater concern for others. The power of awe extends into other areas of our lives. It helps people be more creative and to find novel solutions to problems. Albert Einstein believed that feelings of awe are the source of all true art and science. And awe can lift depression and heal our wounds. When Stacey Bear took in the sight of the monumental Druid arch that day, he recognized the power of awe to heal his trauma. And with that insight, he went on to recognize the power of awe to heal others. He began by reaching out to other veterans, and he eventually became the director of Sierra Clubs Outdoors, which sponsors trips for groups. Stacey's goal is to get veterans and inner city youth out into nature. Many of them have had little experience of the natural world. Simply staring up into a dark sky full of stars for the first time can be an incredibly awesome experience. Stacey has found that those who experience these trips into the wilderness have an improved sense of well-being, social functioning, and life outlook. Here is a headline, or it should be a headline. Americans are awe-deprived. It's true. As a culture, we spend more and more time indoors, working and commuting, and less time outdoors in nature and with other people. In studies, participants reported having experiences of awe 2.5 times a week on average. Given that the participants were most likely white students, you hear about these psychological studies, that's who they get. So, you think about these white students, mainly middle to upper class, kind of privileged, their lives aren't so bad. It's worth considering that for groups of people who are marginalized, impoverished, chronically ill, or severely stressed in other ways, the experiences of awe might be even more elusive. But the fact is, for our mental and spiritual well-being, and for the well-being of our communities, we need awe every day. As human beings, this is how we're meant to live. So let's think about putting down our devices, taking a break from work, taking a pause and getting outside. You all are so fortunate here having this beautiful nature preserve right here on the premises. There are sources of awe and wonder everywhere if we only look for them. So many opportunities to lift ourselves out of our habituated responses and thinking. I used to suffer with winter depression, also known as SAD, seasonal affective disorder. I imagine some of you are familiar with that. One cold and dreary winter day, I remember I was casting around for something to lift my spirits. I know that nature often has the power to do that, so I went on the computer. Yeah, I know. Looking for images of nature. Well, maybe this was an example of depressed thinking because obviously, the outdoors is right there. Not on the screen, but, it was cold and it was dreary and it was winter. And I lived in the city and I just couldn't move. So I knew that even looking at images of nature could provide me with a dose of awesomeness. But you know what? That day I discovered this cool thing, the Cloud Appreciation Society. It's this British organization. Has anybody heard of this? Well, they help you with identifying cloud types. There's a little app and everything. So I became a member that day, and they sent a certificate and a pin. They kind of have a good sense of humor. But I signed up for an email that comes every single day with a spectacular, great picture of a spectacular cloud formation. So, I actually found a way to have a few moments of awe every day without even going outside. I'm fortunate living in the Lehigh Valley because we have Blue Mountain to the north, South Mountain to the south, and the Lehigh River flowing through it. So I always have the opportunity for a little awe just by looking at the mountains outside my window or by crossing over the river and looking down. Occasionally I'm rewarded by something spectacular. I remember one winter morning, for example, I woke to find a jewel-covered South Mountain, just covered with snow, sparkling, like a blanket, just a sparkly blanket. It was so awesome. Those mini doses of awe can make a huge difference. A friend of mine has a picture window that faces east, and she gets up every morning in time to watch the sunrise. If we're not the morning type, like me, here's a suggestion from author Spencer Scott. We can take an awe walk in our neighborhood and practice noticing things as if we're seeing them for the first time. Stacy Bear envisions a day when we'll be prescribed experiences of awe to treat trauma. He predicts you'll get an insurance copay to go river rafting, or you'll get a copay to buy hiking boots and a copay for season passes to the state and national parks. As he looks at an image of Yosemite National Park, he imagines that our children, when they grow up, will assume this is our national healthcare system. He is passionate about the power of nature to heal, and why wouldn't he be? It saved his life, and he's witnessed the power to inspire awe and healing in others as well. Whether it's a big awe triggered by a national park experience, or a little awe that comes from watching a tiny ant carrying a teeny splinter of wood, a sense of spiritual wholeness can come from having these experiences on a regular basis. Like Stacy Bear, I gravitate toward the power of nature, but there are lots of ways to bring awe into our lives. And not just our own lives. Let's think about finding ways to help bring it into the lives of others who may need it too. And let's reflect for a moment. What are some of your memories of awesome moments? Big ones or little ones? Does anybody want to share? Yes.
Well, most people in here know about it already, but it was about a year ago, and I was down in the Antarctic water. And we happened upon 1,000 whales in one place. And there were 1,000 fin whales. And that was our whale expert. He did the counting and he figured out which is right now the most anybody's ever seen in one place. And just, it didn't matter where you were, there was a glow.
1,000 whales.
The sound of the glows and the, actually in the one growl when one whale bumped into another. It was just, and after I you put the camera down and just stood there and watched.
And to experience it. That's very cool. Yeah.
When I was a student, a music student, I went with a class to a church in Philadelphia, and we were talking and thinking about pipe organs. And one part of the session was to go inside of the pipe, the room where the pipes were. And the organs treated us just a box while we were inside.
So being with the pipes, with the pipe organ.
Right, the feeling of being inside of that.
I can identify with it. I was at Longwood Gardens, I think it was January 2nd for their Festival of Lights, and they had an organ concert, and you can go and be with the pipes. One last one, Kay.
I don't know how many years ago John and I went to Canyon de Chelly. Is that Arizona or Arizona?
Canyon de Chelly.
Yeah, and we and we went off the beaten path. And you just leave the park somewhere and walk to just the edge of this cliff where when you went out, you stood there, we were the only people there. And the silence, all you could hear was like a faraway crow, and it was just so amazing to have that broad expanse. And you could look down and you could see where I think the Navajo had their agriculture happening down there. And it was so beautiful, the quiet and being the only people was just, I'll never forget that.
Thank you for sharing those experiences. And let's think about too, how can you experience more of these moments? You know, some of these are big once in a lifetime things, but as I said, there are lots of ways to have little awe moments as well. It's just one of those things. Once we begin looking, we can find inspiration for awe just about anywhere. And here in cloudy Pennsylvania, although it is sunny, we really appreciate it. That is awesome. May the power of awe lift our spirits, heal our pain, and inspire us to live with open hearts. May it be so. Let us join in singing our closing hymn, and that is number 335, Once When My Heart Was Passion Free. And if you would look in your hymnals, we can join in saying our unison closing words. Go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what's good. Return to no person, evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all these. So we're going to stop the recording, but we're going to move on to joys and concerns. And this is an opportunity to share briefly